I didn't first start off as a sports massage therapist. What I did always wanted to be was a personal trainer. I started my health and fitness journey around the age of 17 to 18, as I knew I was coming close to the end of my graduation of my senior year, that I needed to figure out what was the next steps I needed to do for a career path. And that was to dive into becoming a personal trainer. And as I was diving into the knowledge of the health and fitness space of becoming a personal trainer, I was also getting my own results. I was at the gym, in and out of the gym, 7 days a week as a young kid trying to, change my body composition and body type. It fascinated me. I always wondered of how I could help someone else change their body composition as well, or how I can train athletes to perform a lot better in and out of the gym. Well, fast forward of trying to do that from the age of 18 all the way up into the age of 25, I had some trials and tribulations. I was in school for it and then I dropped out of school for it. And I just kept working ever since. It wasn't until not only until COVID, where we all had to be forced to go into quarantine to figure out what I wanted to do. So, at that moment in time, I knew that if I just simply buckled down and study for this personal training certification, I would then be able to set out my dream, which I did. With that, I passed the test and was able to be certified to become a personal trainer. So I was like, great. What do I do now? I have the certification in my hand. What is the next steps? Well, the next steps is to go apply at a gym facility to start working with clients. Now, here's the thing. During the time of quarantine and shutdowns and distancing and spacing, a lot of jobs were being let go and a lot of jobs were also hiring. So I figured if I apply for a job at a gym facility as a personal trainer, they have to hire me. Well, I was dead wrong in that space because every interview that I had was the equivalent of just saying we don't have time to train a new trainer, or we don't have the capacity to hire a new up-and-coming trainer. And I knew that wasn't going to be a good look for me. I knew that wasn't going to give me the right into the right door. And simply, I was almost honestly discouraged because I had set out this piece of paper to then try to start my career, which then fell backwards. So the next best thing I could do is just start looking around other places that will hire me. Luckily, I came across a franchise that offered assisted stretching, which is just the table and allowing their clients to lay on the table, and the practitioner would just be the one doing all the work. They took me in not knowing that I had just gotten this certification, which was great. Got the hands-on learning to be able to learn how to stretch people and offer a new repertoire into services as well. But that did not put me into the gym. That just gave me an ins and outs of just a new service that I could provide. But I was also training people outside of that service as well too at their home facilities. And I was like, great, I'm going somewhere. I'm moving. I have these two services that now I can now provide to be able to help every single client. But now here's the kicker with that, is that you have to now also market yourself and sell yourself. What makes me different than any other stretch practitioner or personal trainer out there? I really had to understand that aspect of it. But as I was working as a stretch practitioner, I got more involved of learning of more like the biomechanics, the anatomy, the musculature of like, how can I take someone from being in pain or being tight all the time to being able to walk and lay on their bed without pain or tightness, or be able to perform better in the gym. That's where I started to set out to go back to school to become a physical therapist. As I went back to community college to finish out my degree, or on the road to track to become a physical therapist, I was excited. I knew I was going to go someplace if I was going to be able to become a physical therapist. Now, as I'm in school, I'm learning. I was trying to realize, I figured if I move myself out of the stretch practitioner place, I'll take a desk job and I'll go learn from other physical therapists. So I set out to do that, and I started at a physical therapy clinic. The best thing that I could ever think to happen, right? I learned the ins and outs of the front office work, great, because then I can learn the billing side of things and how to schedule and all that type of stuff, providing great customer service. But also got to pick the brains of physical therapists and be able to understand how do they do specific things. But I noticed in physical therapy clinics, well, especially the one I was at, we didn't have young kids like myself or late 20s, mid 30s. coming in all the time. It was more of the medical correct term would be geriatric, the older people, fall risk people, people with disabilities. Now, I'm not knocking physical therapy. Those people definitely do need the help, and that is what it's for. But if I was going to work in a specific niche like the gym goers and the athletes, I was like, why are we not getting the aspects of that coming into the facility? And I realized that this might not be an opportunity for me if I don't market myself correctly if I'm a physical therapist. While I am in school to become a physical therapist, I was also in a kinesiology class, and one of the assignments that was given and we had to do was about the career assignment. I was excited about this assignment because I knew that if I do this assignment, I can share with others why I'm excited to become a physical therapist. Well, I did the assignment, I did the research, and then I sat down with the professor. The professor liked the assignment and what I had to offer. But the professor asked a simple question. Do you want to do this? Do you know what it entails to become a physical therapist? How much it's going to cost you to become a physical therapist, and the time length. From the small gathered information that I got, I was like, yeah, I know the time, the effort, and all that type of stuff, but it was much more different than that. Because, see, as I was starting out from my associates to undergrad to get the credits to go to the next program, I was told that I would have to go to then graduate school to become the physical therapist. And that's going to require more time and more money. Not only that, by the time I was 25 at the time, by the time I would finish my physical therapy schooling would be either 35 or 36. And that wouldn't even get me a step in the door just yet, because then after I graduated, I would then have to find a clinic to hire me as a new grad to become a physical therapist. And so that kind of steered me away a little bit, because I'm like, well, then what would be the avenue, the way? During at the same time of this, I was also getting frequent massages from a massage therapist. I never asked them about their career, but I was talking about my career, and they simply said the same thing. They said, well, Nate, if you want to do the manual therapy portion, because that's what fascinated me about was the manual therapy, they said, why don't you become a sports massage therapist or a massage therapist? I was like, how could I do that? I simply let them know, like, what are the avenues or how I go about it. They're like, it's different schooling, because there's different massage therapy schools, but they steered me to one out here in Mesa, Arizona, called the East Valley Institute of Technology, where they do offer trade programs for adults. I was like, great, I'll look into it. I looked into it, and the next semester, which will be in the fall of 2022, was starting to come up. And I was like, okay, if I'm going to go this route, how do I do this? I simply called my advisor and said, hey, can I graduate by the summer with just an associate's in arts, the basics of having all the stuff that I learned at college, so that I can be able to go into this program? They said, yeah. They was able to finish out with some extra particular classes to be able to get me to graduate on time, so that I can enroll into that program by August, which I was successfully able to do. It was a 10-month schooling program for massage therapy. And that's where I'll be able to share and get into the next part of during the process on how I obtain those skills and what was the next insight of becoming a sports massage therapist. So make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for the next part.